welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red.
She is well known for her early attacks and going large at the beginning, and she is doing that again. 6.8 watts per kilo. This is a sprint attack. 2 lots of very different styles of racing going on, haven't we? One big pack there still in Category 2. And we've got attacking going on in Category 3 and Category 4.
Going through very quickly. But
well,
look
at
who's
that
behind
coming.
her.
Look who's coming. That is the Category 1 leading pack. They are about to sweep her up, and the pace on the front of that group has picked up.
Kick over the top of the climb. Minimum amount of effort expended for maximum gain. If you're going to put a kick in, put it either at the start or at the very end of the climb. Over the top of the climb is when you can open the gap. As we see the cash being made. Oh, Ella! She's been caught by Mary Joyce Coking. Ella Big now. She's been caught now. This is where the response has to come. She's got to use this, but be careful.
Mary Joyce Coking, she can see the banner now. She has ridden away from the Category 3 group. She caught Ella Vink, the leader, on the road. Mary Joyce Coking takes the win on Category 3 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's finals day. It's the day we've all been waiting for all month long. My name's Matt Payne. I am here in the studios after what has been a manic week with my co-host here, Emma Martin. Emma, we've had a mad week. We've been at Criterium races. We've got some great news, which we'll probably share a little bit later on regarding what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And do you know what? I've absolutely loved our bike racing. It's been manic. It's been fast. It has been riders giving it everything. And we've got Sunday Race Club to top off the month. I mean, does it get any better than that?
No, it doesn't indeed, because we've got the finals for July today, and we've had 4 qualifying rounds so far, and we have been all around the world. And today, well, we are in Australia for the finals, and I am really looking forward to this. So we are back on the Wollongong course. We have not been here for a while, you know. So today's course for the women, 35 kilometres, 502 metres of climbing. And as you can see, there's 2 Category 4 climbs today. They are 2.1 kilometres long with an average gradient of 4.8%. But you are right looking at that thinking 4.8%? What is she talking about? Because they are really steep. But overall, we go up, we drop down, we drop into the valley, we go up again. And you will see on the first part of the climb, the gradient will kick to 10%. On the second part of the climb, it gets even steeper towards the top. It will top out at 17% today before that run into the finish line. And you will be right to notice it is not flat along the way. It is a rolling course today. And that first little kicker coming not long out start pens.
It is. It's a great course, and it's one where you've really got to be on your game, being able to pedal a variety of cadences, have flexibility, be able to respond, but go with those big climbs, absolutely critical. And that is irrespective of what category you are racing with. If you're new to Sunday Race Club, 4 race categories. Taking to our start, number 1, well, they are the elite riders we expect to set the fastest time. 1 step down, and often one of our most competitive, Category 2 in the green. In the blue is Category 3, another step below that. And our base category, our standard category, it is the riders in Category 4 in red. And they're going to be the first of our riders away. Slightly different competition today in the terms of it's not just individuals. We also have some great teams riding, and there are team prizes at stake. We'll be going through those a little bit later in the show. Teams today in our Category 4, Phoenix, Super Base, and Watt Women. So if the Base are kicking out the Watts, will they rise from the flames like the Phoenix? There you go. Get all 3 in one sentence. Emma, get all of our riders out there, because we've got A real star-studded cast.
We do. 16 riders, 3 teams, as we can see on the screen. And oh gosh, I'm wondering whether anybody can beat What Women Today. Giuliano took 2/3 this month. Vink's taken 2 firsts and a fourth, and Lytton has taken 2 seconds. Those 3 are joined by Tanya Holweller and Isabella Giraldo in What Women. And well, there's some great riders in the other teams, but it is going to be absolutely, well, a challenge, I think, to beat What Women Today. But Meyer, Tangian, Paolo, Ruby, De Freitas, Sarasuk, Becerra and Kirchner are going to have their work cut out for them.
They are. They're joined by Apple, Clarissa Garcia, and Salama Al Khaebi, which are going to be 2 of our individual riders, not allocated to teams, and they could be mixing it up as well. So here we go. We're going to get ready to set off the first wave here on Sunday Race Club on the finals for July. It's been a long, big month. Who's got the legs to make this work? Can the What Women be the super group of today's racing? Here we go. They're on the way, and Sunday Race Club is a go. So our riders coming out from the start pens, heading into a Wollongong and heading out on to circuit. This is a tough start, but not quite as tough as some. However, the big thing for me here is not necessarily the first kicker that could separate the riders. It is that big climb, isn't it, Emma?
Well, it is indeed, but this is a pan-flat start today. Take a look at that top right-hand corner of your screen. The graphic, absolutely one flat line. But coming out of the start pens today, we've got one rider just off the back at the moment. So needing to push on and get back into the group, but the main group rolling well. They are up to 32, 34 kph. They are rolling strongly. They've got the momentum going, and the group up and out of the pen now. On that right-hand top corner of the screen, you can see the first kicker coming very, very shortly.
It's around this left-hand turn. We've got a long sweeping left. We've got a slight dip. It starts to raise as we go into the right-hand bend. We then climb away from the shore and away from the sea over the elevated roadway that takes you across over the crashing waves and up into the city. It's steeper at the end, and it's one of those little kickers where if you can push over the top, and we saw that in the rewinds at the start of the show, you've got that little bit of extra momentum over the top. You're going to open a gap. You're going to make people work to close that gap down. Like all of the racing, hiding behind another rider, saving your energy, getting into the draft is going to save big watts on the downhill sections, on this flat section. But being able to make the racing here will save you a lot of energy as well. If you are following, if you're having the pace dictated to you, that is not going to be an efficient way of riding today because of the terrain that we've got in front of us. Emma, Category 4 has been stunning, hasn't it? It's been some brilliant racing in there. I've absolutely loved seeing our riders progressing, and it seems every month just get quicker and quicker through the month.
Well, yeah, so we've seen riders progress from Category 4 to Category 3 this month. Liberty Dallasay, we'll see her in the Category 3 race later. In fact, our riders progressing and moving on really strongly, but Category 4 has indeed been particularly aggressive. We've seen breakaways, four rider breakaways, 5 rider breakaways. We've seen lone riders attack and go out early. In fact, we've seen Vink and Lytton be particularly aggressive. They seem to like a much harder race. Now, talking about a harder race, as the riders come across this bridge, the gradient now kicking, you can see it at 5 watts, 5%, should I say, 6.5%. The riders now pushing up this bridge, this steep section before they come to the top, and you can see it starting to stretch that group out. So again, that graphic at the top right hand corner of your screen giving a really good indication. The gradient at 9% at the moment. It's Vink on the front pushing, teammate Holweller there just taking up the reins. So Holweller in that white cap with the blue and yellow stripes, Vink in the yellow helmet, pushing on now up the climb, and wow, what a stretch on that group. 1 or 2 riders just being distanced off the back. Will they catch back on?
Well, it's their first chance to see how much effort they need to close the gaps. This will be our finish line when we come through in 2 full laps time. So this is the first of 3 passages underneath the yellow finishing arch here. However, We've got the mountain to climb twice on the way around. We've got 2 full laps of the Wollongong circuit. Not the only route in Australia now. We've got lots of great routes, but it is a particularly tough one, which is very fitting for the finals. So, Category 4 underway, Category 3 on the start line, and another field. We've got some great teams in here. We've got the Maid Speedy team and the Strong team, and Team Golden Light with us as well. They've been joined by individual rider Liberty Dalisay that has moved up, as Emma said. But Emma, of the teams, who's your pick?
Oh, you see, I think this is going to be a really difficult one today because Mabin, Hadlock, and Zabala made speedy, strong riding. De Silva, Pelagio, Lenore, and Alzat, also strong riding. Now, I think this is anybody's race today because so many riders have moved up and this has been a real rotation for Category 3. Pelagio, I think, is going to be particularly strong as we sit in with Hadlock at the moment. They are lined up and ready to go. So away go Category 3, our second category today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is the July final. We are in Australia on the Wollongong course and Category 3 is up and running. So as Category 3 riders come up at the start pen very, very quickly up to speed. 37 kph, 42 as they really push. In fact, this is a good strong start from the Category 3 riders. Jose Zabala is in here. All riders pushing out that start pen. Pelagio and Dalisay up there. It's going to be very interesting to see what Dalisay does in this group today. She is the lone rider in this race. She's not part and parcel of a team. So going to be interesting to see how she mixes this up today. So this strong pace continuing from the front of this Category 3 race. In fact, it is Dalisay on the front with Alzat, Jose Zabala, Lenore, Pelagio, all in here. These riders spread wide across the group, indicating a consistent pace from all of the riders.
They're looking good. They're looking like a compact group. And it looks to me at the moment like this group are going to do a lot of watching of each other on the way through because it is so close in those teams and in that team competition here. We've not got one particularly strong or dominant or hot favourite team. I think there's such a mix of riders. That's going to make this a really interesting race to watch, and I'm sure the riders are going to really love this. And that's one of the great things, isn't it, about having the 4 categories racing simultaneously. There's always somebody watching somebody else. There's always great close racing because people are of a similar ability.
Well, it's not just every position that counts, it's every second that counts because it is the 3 fastest riders in each of the team. It's their total time added together, which gives you the information for the team competition. Now, taking a look at Category 4, we said, didn't we, that Category 4 was often exceptionally aggressive. And take a look at this because we've got a rider down the road. We're here with a small group of 3. So Paolo is here in this group of 3 as we can take a look further down the road. Kirchner is here and Becerra. Now they are 9 seconds back on Giuliano, Applecare is, Brittany Litton 10 seconds now. So these 3 riders chasing the group up the road.
And this is going to be really interesting to see what happens as these groups start to work their way through. This rise and fall, the course profile is there's very little flat. Basically, when we go past the rider pens where the riders set off from, that's really the only real flat section. The rest of it, as you can see from that thin white line above the green arrow, that is the course profile. And you can just see how tough this is now. Litton, Howeiler, and Giuliano now has Geraldo and Vink in there, Clarissa in there, Clarissa Garcia going in, Roma Joy, Miller also making the junction, but I think it's likely to split again. Meanwhile, in Category 3, Carla Lenore just at the front here, just tapping a nice rhythm going up that climb, coming into towards that gantry and towards what will be the finish in 2 full laps time. So we've got that initial start section, then 2 full laps to get round, and you can just see it here. I think this is smart riding by the riders. I wouldn't want to go solo at this stage when you've potentially, I suspect, going to find that if you do, you're going to have the whole pack stay together behind and chase.
Yeah, you are, I think, in that Category 3 race because of the two teams in there and the strength and depth in those two teams. They are going to be very close racing, I think we're going to see from them, rather than the attacking style of racing we're already seeing in Category 4.
Well, Category 3 and 4 on the road. Category 2 ready to go. They're lined up on our start line. Big field here today, and we've got some great teams in here. We've got Team Europe, Crazy Fast Girls, the Pink Power Women. Beast Mode powered by Rose, always a strong team. We're also going to have the Team Tigers and the Gladiators, in fact, as a newly formed team. We're literally hot off the presses as we came into the studios. And great to see people getting together and making those teams, because riding as a strong team, you're going to be quick. Now, looking down that list of riders, it's very difficult to pull one team out here. If you had to pull just one team, Emma, who's it going to be? Quick.
Well, I think Team Europe are going to be very strong today.
There you go. That's Emma's pick for the top. Let's see who's going to be there. This is Category 2. We are on countdown. Let's see if Emma's prediction is right. Who will take the win? Who's going to be our team winners? Who is going to be our individual winner? We have 35 kilometers. We've got 502 meters of elevation. And we have 2 laps of this amazing course out in Wollongong in Australia, one of the amazing worlds on MyWhoosh.
So our Category 2 riders are up and away. Team Europe, Embring, Walkenhurst and Hermansen. Okay, I've nailed my colours to the mast. But the Crazy Fast Girls, Gallego, Tan, Agudelo, Arrayas, Echarek and Claudia Marin in that team. God, that is some absolute competition. And let's not forget Beast Mode powered by Rose, Daniel Zimmerman, Miller. Now, they are very consistent riders.
I know, and Team Tigers are Bando, Cabanat, and Atia.
I know.
It's so hard to choose.
It's going to be really close, and that is the absolute joy of the finals of MyWhoosh, because at the end of the month we get these teams, they come together, and it really adds a different dimension to the racing. If Matt and I can't work out who we're going to call because the teams look so strong and so well put together, it just means we are going to have a great race today.
And there's a lot of work. I mean, everyone hears us on the show, don't they, Emma? But what they don't realise probably is quite how much time we spend analysing. We absolutely love the job and love putting words to the action. But doing the research, looking at the data, looking at who's riding, how strong they're riding, who's been doing what, making sure we know who's on form. There's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes, days and days of work goes on behind the scenes to make sure that we know this. But even with all that research, all of that internet stalking, all of that looking and checking out our riders, the history that we have of knowing them, we still can't decide. We can't split.
Not.
It's so difficult, and it depends on form as well. You know, who had a good night's sleep last night. That could make a difference. That could be 5-10% performance difference. Get a good night's sleep. You could be flying.
Well, and also we know different courses suit different riders. And the Wollongong course, although we've got the 2 Category 4 climbs, these women have got a run into the finish from the top of that second Category 4 climb of about 6.5K. And quite regularly we've seen this come down to a sprint, this course.
Well, I'm not sure it's going to come down to a sprint this time. Lisa Hermansen just came around that corner and onto this climb at 6 watts per kilo. It was a very quick answer by Kimberly Miller there. So very quick off the gun goes Hermansen from Team Europe. Emma's tip for the top. We're not going to let her forget that just in case they don't get it. So we'll see if they will. But look at this, a very strong response. Angie Parra currently leading them up here. We've got Hermansen over her. We've got Walkenhurst right in here, Ortiza in here, I can tell. It is a who's who, and I think everybody at the moment rotating around really, really well. All
the teams are marking each other at the moment, because the attack went in from Team Europe, covered by Beast Mode. Then it was the Gladiators who came through, and then the Crazy Fast Girls. So nobody letting another team go down the road. Everybody covering each other.
And at the back of this group, that's where the damage is done. A bit like the crit racing we were watching at the National Series and putting words to the action to. At the start of the race, very often, it's not about who can attack and go clear. It's about who can't stay with the pace, with the yo-yoing pace or the very high pace from the word go. That's true in Category 4, 3, 2, and our Category 1 riders. And they are the top level. They are our elite riders, and we have an absolute star list. Can't wait to bring you those riders. They're sat down on the start line at the moment, and we have some amazing riders. I think Emma was just chuckling when we got the start list come through, because all I did was go, wow.
Oh, I know.
Wow, look at the teams. We've got Cocoa Melons, we've got Fizzy Pops, we've got Power Puffs, and we've got the Slow Girls in here, who are anything but, to put it mildly. They're not all. We've also got the Spartan Obstacles, who we know are going to be up there as in the favourites somewhere. Strong Girls, we've got the Eagles, we've got Team Latinas as well. It's a massive, massive race field as well, and we've got some really strong individual riders who are not part of the teams and who could also take the win. So, Emma, take us through this and give us an idea of what we're going to be looking at.
Well, 40 riders on the start sheets today, 9 different teams, riders coming up from Category 2, including Jenny Sanchez, who took 2 wins in Category 2 last month. Now, in the team competition, I think this is a Spartan Obstacles to lose. Olsen, Sanchez, Fua and Cavado. But Fizzy Pops, Bardaskai, Enstrom, Biarhead and Tijeros, as away go our Category 1 riders. It is absolutely going to be eyeballs out today as the 40 riders head out of the start pens and onto the course. So many teams today, Matt, in this competition. The Latinas, Marin, Carvajal, Valencia are going to be strong as well. And if we think we saw riders marking each other in that Category 2 pack, well, I really don't know what we are going to see in Category 1, but this is going to go down to the wire today.
I think so. I think it's just such a big group. It's a massive pack. It's a large group of riders. We've got a lot of very strong riders in them. We've got strong teams who are going to work together. We've got riders who are going to want to make it hard from the gun. I mean, look at this. Madonna, Degum and Shandy kicking straight out from the start here, stringing the group out. And nobody's being given a nice, gentle roll into the course today.
Well,
in any of our groups, they've all just nailed this. And Cavado, very quickly up here, she knows she doesn't want to get left behind in this kick from the line. But really interesting to see that it is Degum Mashandi who's opened up the throttles first.
Well, it is really interesting because Manshandi from the Eagles squad, Agudelo, Santiago, Gaviria and Castano. Now that is quite a strong squad, you know, but obviously the tactics of that squad is to go out and go hard and try and break the rest of the riders. And we will see very different tactics at play. Some of the teams here will be marking other teams, the team potentially that they think will win, they'll mark them. Others, well, a best form of defense is offense. And I think that's what the Eagles are up to today.
And quite often that can be the case also when you are a solo rider. So we have seen, and I'm going to use the comparison again because here in the UK we've just wrapped up our national crit series that we've been putting words to the action to. There we had big teams of 7-8 riders up against solo riders. The solo riders, we had a solo rider sitting in 3rd place in the women's competition, a solo rider actually leading the series coming into the final rounds. And it was a bit like gang warfare, sort of, you know, all ganging up and bullying one rider because it was solo riders pretty much, or they had one teammate. But there were some words of wisdom there from some very experienced riders. You were doing the question and answer session before the crits, wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of those words of wisdom is, you know, if you've got 5-6 riders and the team has strength and depth and can send riders constantly down the road to attack you, well, rather than following a wheel, head out the front yourself and really give it large. Take the race to them.
There you go. So the best form of defense sometimes can be offense. So let's see if any of these riders are going to take that on. Difficult to do because you don't want to put too much energy down on the sections of course that are not critical. But what decides the critical? Is it the slope? Is it the riders? Well, of course, it's a combination of everything, isn't it? So that's where we're going to see these tactics come into play. We're going to watch this unfold. Now, the riders in Category 1, the last group to head out from the pens, go underneath the banner and they go through underneath the line. But we'll see the finish in 2 full laps time. So 4 groups of riders, well, not more than 4 groups, but 4 categories of rider out on the course. A number of the groups already splitting. So you can see category 4, bottom right-hand side of your screen. They are at 9.68k. They're about to hit the base of, so they are onto the climb. Category 3, they're on the way, 7.3k. You've got category 2, they are currently at 5 kilometers covered in 2 and nearly a half. There you go, there's a nice accurate number for you. 2.35k covered for category 1. Now, we talk about 4 categories, and if you've been watching the shows previously, and please do subscribe, give us a watch, give us a click. You know how it works. The algorithms that keep us up there, it is all about getting those subscriptions. We have 4 categories. There are different prizes for the categories, but there's different prizes for the team competition, and that comes in our finals. So today, our team competition in category 4 runs from 10,800 AED right through to 1,080 AED for the team. That's shared between the team. And we have our additional prize fund as well. Now, in that additional fund, the prize fund, I mean, let's face it, if you're winning the team, you're likely to have riders up in that top 5. In fact, it's probably pretty much mandatory to have riders in the top 5. So it could be a really big payday. And category 4, of course, is our base category, and 10,000 AEDs not to be sniffed at.
Completely not to be sniffed at. So 10,800 AED for the team classification, 2,160 AED for the individual classification in Team 4. Now, equal prize money between the men and the women. You'll see exactly the same numbers in the men's race later this morning. But it progresses as we go through the categories. Category 3, you can see the prize money elevated. So first place at 3,600 AED. First place in the team competition, 18,000.
So second place in the team competition, 10,800. So basically, well, the first prize for category 4 is the second prize in category 2, and it jumps up as we move in and through. Into category 2, you can see all of a sudden 18,000 becomes second place, and the top prize in the teams is 30,000 AED. And remember, it is 3 riders to count in your team. So it's your top 3 riders' time combined, fastest top 3 riders.
It is, and you'll see some of the teams just have the 3 riders, others have 4, others have 5. You can have up to 5 riders in your team, best 3 riders to count. Now, to put the 30,000 AED into perspective for some of our riders around the world, in US dollars, that is just over 8,000 US dollars.
Wow. Wow. That is a substantial sum. Not quite as substantial, of course, as our category 1. 10,000 AED for the win, for the individual. 8,000 in second, 6,000 in third, 4,000 in fourth, and 2,000 in fifth. Plus, of course, ranging from 5,000 for the 5th place in the team competition, right the way up to 10 times that. 50,000. I'm going to say that again. 50,000 AED. And if you think that could be split between 3 riders, and there's somebody who was going to take away an individual win, you can see just why so many of our riders dedicate so much time to riding, not just in the Sunday Race Club, but on Tune Up Tuesdays, and of course on the platform to get used to the rides and where you're racing.
This really allows esports to become a discipline. It absolutely allows the professionalization of those athletes. And that, I think, is really what is needed, that kick to enable people to specialize. You know, we see riders come into the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club from all sorts of backgrounds. We do have esports specialists. We do have mountain bikers coming in, road riders coming in, ex-ice skaters and rowers coming in, to this platform, to this race. But the prize money like this week in, week out for the individual riders, then the team classifications at the end of the month, allows riders and these athletes to professionalize their chosen sport.
It does indeed. Now, let's take a look at who is likely to be in the running in category 4 for those big prize money prizes. It is Brittany Litton who has the gap at the moment from Tanya Howeiler. Let's just remind you, Brittany Litton and Tanya Howeiler both in the Watt women's team. Then we've got Isabel Giraldo. She's riding for the Phoenix squad. Then it's Ella Vink, who also rides for the What Women squad. Jackie Giuliano is in there as well. Again, a What Women rider. So you can see that the top 5, 4 of those are riding for the same team. Now, it'll be really interesting to see whether, when they get to the top of this, the second part of the climb, they decide to come together and work together, or whether they ride solo and use those time gaps that they've already established. Really difficult decision, and one thing that's going to help them is talking to each other. And what you can do is talk to all your teammates. So if you hit the sound button, if you hit the microphone button on MyWhoosh and you're racing on Sunday Race Club, you talk to your teammates. So you can work out your tactics. You can discuss, if you've got any breathless whilst climbing a massive hill, obviously, are we going to go? Are we going to attack? Are we going to pull these back? And looking at the screens, that's what the team's going to need to talk about. Are we jumping on the wheels of the Category 3 riders who are starting to catch Category 4?
Well, 7 riders at the moment in these blue jerseys in front of us on the screen. That's 7 riders pushing on this climb together. The gradient is currently at 9% as they go up the first part of this climb. Now, this climb called Mount Pleasant, but there is nothing pleasant about 9% as our Category 3 riders start now to catch the back of the Category 4 race. So the 3 riders, they are about to join in those red jerseys, are the back of our Category 4 races. The leaders of Category 3, well, they are coming up and over and past the Category 4 riders. That is Giraldo, part and parcel of that as they go up and over the top of the first part of the climb. Now on to the descent, and we will see them come round this right hand corner, drop right into the bottom of this descent. Take a look how steep the descent is, 12% downwards, and this is about gaining momentum now for the next part of the climb.
So that momentum is critical, isn't it, Emma? Taking that speed, the roll that you get from this downhill, that assistance, and letting it power you around this turn and onto the climb. But it's not instantaneous. You can see that there is this long sort of almost leveling out before it kicks up. The top, the inverse of this, is very sharp. It's up and you're down. On the descent, on that dip, you've got a little bit further to roll through, and that carrying that pace is critical. Now, Salama Al-Kaibi here running really strongly, pushing on, keeping a nice pedal cadence. They've got to keep ticking over and making sure she keeps the revs high, using those gears on the smart bike or on the bike to keep the revs there. Use that fitness, use the energy, and to keep going. You see our crowds at the side continue to applaud and encourage us riders as they make the way up this climb, but the gradient now really tough, heading for 18% at the moment. Brutal as you come off that descent. Your legs turn to jelly on the descent. You then have to kick again and force them to work round, and it's pretty unrelenting to come off that start, to go into the climb. You come up the climb, you drop, and then into this steep section.
This is just so steep. 15.6% at the moment under the wheels of these riders as the Category 3 riders continue to pick up the back markers in the Category 4 race. Al-Kaabi, the rider, Mabin, Jose Zabala and Alzat just going past. So Mabin, Jose Zabala and Alzat, the 3 riders now leading the Category 3 race. As we take a look onto the right hand side of your screen, Brittany Litton, we know she's a phenomenal climber, and we've seen her climb up and over the first of these Category 4 climbs. She's now on the descent and she is pushing on. Tanya Holweller behind her, Isabella Giraldo, Ella Vink, Jackie Giuliano, Joy Mayer is the next rider on that sheet on the just on the bottom right hand corner of your screen. You can see the names of those riders. You can't see the riders on your screen because the only 2 riders on your screen, well, Brittany Litton and literally just in the background, Tanya Holweller. So 2 riders now clear in this Category 4 race, just 2 seconds separating Litton and Holweller, and I think these 2 riders are going to come back together again. Now, one of the reasons I think that is because they're teammates.
It is. Listen, Holweller, Giuliano and Vink, 4 of the top 5 being the same team. Giraldo riding for the Phoenix squad, the only interloper in that, I think, as we come over the top.
No, now, just to be very careful here, we have Isabella Giraldo and Isabel Giraldo. They are indeed two different riders.
Wow.
One is a Masters rider and one is an under 23.
Okay. Is it Isabella or Isabel in the front group there?
It is Isabella. So it is indeed from the women.
So we have 5
Told you they would be
women.
dominant.
There you go. I should listen to you more often. There you go. Don't quote me on that,
Okay,
anybody.
if we could just please take a sound check and go back and review that footage, that would be wonderful.
No. So let's carry on to the course. As you can see, the category 2 women now over the top of the first part of climb number 1. They're going to drop down and come in to this descent. It sweeps down, it takes a slight right and then a tighter left hand turn up on to the climb. You see the gradual right coming up here. We're just going to come in and then it's almost 90 degrees left as we take that turn. We go over the slight rise on the roadway and the little bit of marsh out to the left, but now we're onto the climb, and this is where we saw those riders coming up on El Caibe on that 18%, basically 17.8. That counts as 18% in my book. That counts as horrible, to be honest, in my book. As you come up onto the climb, says the man who rode umpteen national hill climbs. I don't know quite what happened. Probably too much food and too many drinks in between, and too many times off the bike rather than riding on it.
Well, take a look at the size of this category 2 group, Matt, because they've gone up and over the first part of this climb and they are all still together. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I make that 12 riders currently in the leading group in this category 2 race. Now 20 riders took to the start sheets, and we knew this was going to be a big packed race because Beast Mode powered by Rose, Crazy Fast Girls and Team Europe, all so strong. Pink Power Women as well. Well, I don't think you can miss them out either because Ochoa, Payne and Barragan. It is such a strong race field, category 2.
And you've got in there, I mean, Angie Parra, the ever-attacking Angie Parra. I love her team name, Gladiators. That is just so appropriate. She goes out there, she takes on the odds, the big teams. She goes out, she's on just with a trident. You know, she's not up against.
Would that not be Neptune, not Gladiator?
No, no, Gladiators had Neptune. Yeah, they had tridents as well.
Did they?
They
well,
did,
there we go.
yeah.
Okay, you learn something new every day.
There you are. Every day's a school day. Don't question my history. Don't the amount of time I spend researching it. I should know. So. Our riders are up and racing here in Wollongong, heading out on to the course here, and the riders making the way in and through. I'm just watching Emma about to try and Google Gladiators with a trident. They had a fisherman which had a trident.
Gladiators.
Yes. They were a particular type, so you'd have a fishing gladiator, you would have a warrior, you would have a horseman, you'd have an archer. They were very specific types, and the fisherman was a very popular one. So when they came into the games, because he was armed basically with a trident and a net, so the net was to get the sword, and then you'd stab them with a trident.
My goodness, you're right.
Sorry. So could we now have a sign check? Because I actually got something right, and Emma should listen to me more often. There you go.
Well,
our gladiators on the right-hand side of the screen. It's Angie Parra. And Angie's on the way up here. And I have to say, Angie gets a lot of airtime because she attacks people. She really gives it everything, and she goes for it. And that's great to see. But interesting, Angie's been real smart today. She's sitting in with that group, using that energy carefully here. And that means she's going to have more for later. Now, compare Category 2 with Category 1 here, Emma. Difference in size, yes, but the different race size fields to start off with. But again, grouped together as Category 1 approach the base of the climb here. They're now starting to climb. We're at 7.5%. Category 1 are going to hit the same set of slopes that we've just seen Category 2 go over. At the moment, that's a big group.
Well, it is a big group, and I think there are, well, the strength and depth in this field is outstanding. So 11 different riders finishing in the top 5 positions throughout July. So 11 different riders taking top 5 spots through the 4 qualifying races. And those 4 qualifying races in Category 1 had 4 different winners. So the strength and depth of Category 1. You know, really phenomenal. And you can see that by the fact that this group is still all together. The gradient at the moment, 9.7% as we continue to move up here. Catherine Fua, Gonzalez, Baraskaya, Santiago, Engstrom, all still in here. Bjarhead and Olsen towards the front of the group as they continue to tap a rhythm, they continue to tap a pace, and they continue as a large group to move up the first part of this climb. Very shortly they will be up and over the top and down the other side, and then, well, the gradient will hit nearly 18%.
Well, let's see who's going to hold on, who's going to be here on this first part. Really interesting that we're not seeing crazy numbers here from this group. We know they're capable of 14, 15 watts per kilo, some of these riders, in a short burst. And they're not kicking that out necessarily as they come up the first part. I think there's still a lot of waiting and being a little bit smart here. And sometimes we see that, don't we? Because the riders, they don't want to waste that energy. They are concerned that if you burn a match too soon, using that old phrase, how does that, at what point does that go wrong? If you use the energy for an attack, it's successful, great. But if you use that energy early and it doesn't work, you can't, it's not going to just magically reappear.
Let's be clear. There are 2 Category 4 climbs, and it is the same climb. So these riders, this is the first ascent and descent of Mount Pleasant. They know they're going to have to do this again. Whilst you can work together and stay as a group, so Category 2 have come down the other side and they are still a group. If you've got to do that transition between these 2 climbs on your own, given the fact that the terrain is very rolling, it's much harder. It's really hard to stay out clear and then have to go up Mount Pleasant again as a lone rider. It's very easy to lose a lot of time on this course.
So key here for me, on the first ascent going over the top, if this was me racing, I would want to go over with a group over the top, but I would want that to be the group at the front. You wouldn't want to go solo necessarily over the top of the climb this time around, but you'd want to bring through a group of riders. You want the biggest group on the road to be your group, but you would want to shed as many other people in 1s and 2s. Now, if you put a massive attack in, what often will happen is you will split the group into 2. But they could be 2 equal-sized groups. If you keep the pressure on, because riders are different, and you keep a consistently tough pressure on, you tend to lose 1 rider at a time, and that leaves you 1s and 2s behind you on the road. Therefore, by applying a consistent pressure up this climb, making it hard, you're going to lose 1 or 2 riders at a time, and they can't then coalesce into a bigger group that's going to chase you down.
Well, I think the aim in the game here, and I'm taking a look at the numbers coming out from this group and the size of this group, I think, and for me, the aim of the game on this first climb, particularly in this Category 1 race, is to stay in the group. That is the only goal up and over the top. Be in the group. So if the group is moving at 4 watts per kilo, move at 3.8 watts per kilo and sit at the back.
There we go. That is Emma's tactic. I've got to agree. I personally would want to sit there at a tough pace. I'd want to lose some of the riders out in that group because I still think it's a big
we can see
group.
1 or 2 riders dropping off the
Do
back.
it by sitting at a pace that will lose 1 or 2 at a time. Don't put in an attack, but make it tough. Because there are limited opportunities to break the groups up, and places by putting the pressure on now, you could lose. And let's remember, this often can come down to a sprint finish on this course, even though it is up over that rise in from the sea. That means if you can lose a sprinter now, somebody who's got a superpower, then that's great by keeping it consistently tough. And we said before, riders who have a good sprint and recovery are not going to like a long, consistently tough climb, which is what we've got here. This is the longest climb of the course. It's the longest and most consistent climb of the course, and therefore it's your chance to shed some of those sprinters off the back of the group. So really interesting to see what goes on here. I think it's very telling, isn't it? When you come around this time, these riders have all ridden this. Second time round, I've done lots of road races where, and races on esports, where you do the same climb twice, 3, 4 times even. And for me, it's really, really interesting, the mental game that goes on with people and with yourself when you're riding it. Because if you're having a good day, when you come into the climb the second time, you go, right, I know I can attack here, I can really push here, feeling good, I love this. But if you're having a bad day, You're going into it
Oh,
and you're going,
not again.
yeah, oh no. And you're going in it going, oh no, I've got that slope up there. And then you hit that and you go, oh, right over that. Oh no, there's another one coming up. And how, whether your mind's in a positive frame of mind or a negative frame of mind, isn't just under your control, because you're responding to the other riders. They can set how your mind works on here. I mean, we're coming over the top. Most of these riders have achieved what you would have set out to do, Emma. They've stayed together. We've got a little dip, got a little kicker and a drop, but basically we're on the descent.
Yeah, completely. This is a large group of Category 1 riders all together now coming onto the descent. And then I think, this group will stay together all the way now to the next climb. We may see 1 or 2 riders drop off the back if we see a push on the climb. But, if I am making, and it's an assumption, isn't it? I am drawing assumptions from what I am seeing, and I am saying that the main part of this race will take place on the second ascent of Mount Pleasant.
Well, we'll keep an eye on our Category 1 riders. They're on the way down. We've seen 1 or 2 gaps open up, but there are enough riders in there to close gaps. And I guess that is really the biggest danger here, is that you get tailed off because you're not paying attention on the descent. It's not going to be because of big numbers. So Category 1, their top left-hand side. We'll come back to those in a moment. Because I think Emma's right. We're going to be seeing maybe a bit more action from them and a bit more decisive action as we go on to the second climb. But if you compare and contrast that to Category 4, the other end of the scale, we've got Brittany Litton and Tanya Howeiler on an attack. We've got chases behind from riders. The group split early.
Ooh.
And look at those time gaps. I mean, 2 minutes 30 between our 2 leaders and the chases behind. Surely these 2 riders now should be thinking, well, we are now going to be in this to win it, and it's between the 2 of us. We work together until we come to the final line.
Well, what a team, because those top 5 riders, so Litton and Howeiler, part and parcel of the same team, now on a very steady pace, 2.4 watts per kilo. I think they were going to work together. They've got 2 minutes and 10 seconds on the chasing group behind. But those 3 riders in the chasing group, well, they are Litton and Howeiler's teammates, Vink, Giuliano and Giraldo. So top 5 riders, all part and parcel of the same team. So my prediction here, Litton and Howeiler ride to the finish. The 3 riders, as long as they are clear behind, ride to the finish as a group. And everybody sprints for the line.
Well, let's see if Emma's full of predictions today.
I am. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what you had for breakfast before you came down and met us down in the studio. We will see. We will see. I'm loving the volume of riders who are out racing Category 4. I'm loving the volume of riders in 3. And I'm loving to see all these new riders through the qualifiers, making friends and getting these teams together. And we're seeing this here in Category 2. I mean, these riders are all experienced riders. You don't get to be Category 2 unless you're talented and quick and have a lot of skill. And as they come through, it is really interesting. This group is still a good-sized group. And we are now on the run down. Basically, we're going to head in to the climb that we saw our riders go to, the first ascent as it came from the pens, going up and away from the river. So here we go. Category 2 are going to come round. They'll go up the climb and they'll go up onto the line, and that will be the finish line. No, they've got 1 full lap of the circuit here at Wollongong to go here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club Finals. If you want to join the guys here racing, please do make sure you download the app. Really simple. Jump onto mywhoosh.com. You can download it on iOS, on Android, and of course on Windows. Make sure you jump on there. If you're having any problems, make sure of course that you've got the spec that will do that. So you can't run your ZX Spectrum 81 from 1980 whatever. It's not going to work, guys, oddly enough. You do need to have the equipment that can process everything and can make it work. And then if you still have problems, get in touch with the team and support, because the support at MyWhoosh is fantastic. They'll take you through those steps that will get you in there if you're having any tech issues. And there's such a myriad of computer systems now and processors and cards, etc. So please do get in touch, download, jump on board and come and race with us. We'd love to see you on board. We'd love to have you on the Tune-Up Tuesdays to go make sure you're getting those right, get those workouts done. Because remember, of course, we've got so many. There's well over 700 workouts on MyWhoosh, and all of those workouts will make you quicker, faster. You get further for basically less effort, and that's what we want to see. And that's why our riders are so quick. We've got some of the best riders in the world. We've got riders from all over the world really, really key for me that are you jump on, come and join us.
This is the perfect time to do it because we will start qualifier race number 1 for August. I can't believe we're saying it's August next month. But so qualifier race number 1 for August will start next Sunday. It is a perfect time to come and join the Sunday Race Club. The events page on the website gives you all the information you need, the rules, the tech guide, the frequently asked questions. You can come and join us. We would love to see you.
We certainly would. We would want to see you in here with us. And don't forget, of course, you can also follow on social media so you can get in touch. It is MyWhoosh on Instagram, on Facebook. Don't forget, of course, that you can follow us on Twitch TV and watch all of this in glorious Technicolor as well and really see the most of these amazing graphics are on there. The platform is evolving. Our riders are progressing. And so are our commentary teams, actually, because I've got to say a big congratulations to Emma Martin, who has been selected to commentate on the Worlds. I've done a number of World Championships, and Emma has been selected to be on the Worlds. And Emma, what are we going to hear you putting words to the action to at the World Championships this year?
Yeah, so I am indeed heading to the World Championships in Glasgow, and you will hear my dulcet tones. I'm going to be on indoor cycling, so artistic cycling and cycle ball. Now, those are two, well, I was going to say exciting sports. Cycle ball is definitely an exciting sport. Artistic cycling, more, well, skillful, and I was going to use the word graceful. It's very graceful when everybody gets it right.
And exciting when they get it wrong.
And exciting when they get it wrong. But two very different sports.
Yeah, very much so. And so congratulations. Part of that journey, just like our riders, is the experience of being a commentator. And I've got to say a big thank you to the team at MyWhoosh. It's been great having Emma with us, and she's going to continue with us. Don't worry, we're not letting her go off on the UCI duties all the time. So she's going to be at the Worlds, and you can catch up with Emma on that. I'm going to be up there for the downhill mountain biking and on the cross country, so that covers things like the short track and so on. And we are seeing some fantastic riders up there. Really looking forward to that. But of course, we're also going to be here for the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, as always. We're going to be here on Sunday and the Sunday after.
Yeah, we are indeed. But we also know that a number of our riders from the Sunday Race Club will indeed be at the World Championships in Glasgow. So if you are one of those riders heading to Glasgow, get in touch. Let us know you are going to be in Scotland. We might not be able to come and watch what you're doing, but you never know. It would be great to hear from you. So get in touch if you are.
And you can get in touch with me. It's at Matt Fixer Pain on social media. And you can get in touch with Emma at...
You can get in touch with me at Biking Emma on Instagram.
So do get in touch. Tell us if you're going up. We know lots of our riders riding things like the Grand Fondos. We've got riders as well who race riding in the road race. We've got riders who are going to be racing across the mountain bike as well. All sorts of disciplines with riders who come here, train, race, ride on MyWhoosh at the World Championships. Now, it's not all the World Championships that are going on, but it is a lot of them. I think it's 13 out of the 19 disciplines or something. You lose count because there's so many different ones on there.
Yeah, so, well, I'm not losing count at the moment because I'm taking a look at the 4 screens in front of me. We've got 4 different races going on. More than 20 riders in that leading group in Category 1. 10 riders in the leading group on Category 2. We've got 1 rider pushing on with 3 riders chasing in Category 3 and 2 lone riders at 23 kilometres now in Category 4. They are the riders, the race who started first. Category 4, Lytton and Holweller are the 2 riders out front. They're currently the leaders on the road at 23k. At 21.5k, 1.5k behind them is the leading 4 in Category 3. 20.5 kilometres is Category 2, and 18k into their race is the Category 1 race field.
So this race starting to work its way in towards what we think is going to be the decisive part of the racing. And this is on the final section, final ascent of the climbs. 2 Category 4 climbs today, and the second of those, basically the same climb that on the loop, is going to be key. So that is going to be the critical point. You can see the groups continuing to push on here, but the riders really on the way through. And I think we can show you the course profile, which gives us a better indication of where we are. So the category 4 are on their way in. They're just over 22, 23K at the moment. 26.3, and as you can see, it's the same profile, the same climb here, second time up. We've talked about the climb. We know it's steep. We know it's stepped. We know we've got the dip. Being in the group now, first time up here, we were talking about being in the group. Second time, it's about attacking, isn't it? Because when you look beyond the climb into the finish, and let's focus on the last red section and then into the yellow down, as you run down, there's a couple of points, one of which is that big hump that comes in just before you do the run across to the finish, and that is the spin round the flyover. You go down, you do a left-hand turn, it spirals up over the course and back down again. We've seen race attacks there, so it's not just about the climb, is it? The climb's decisive, but it's not the final point where we're necessarily going to see riders getting spat out of the back of the group or attacking off the front.
It's not the climb isn't the final point. We will see. I am making a prediction. We will see the groups get smaller on that climb, but the key kicker points are indeed, as you say, Matt, on that run into the finish. There is the opportunity for a rider to push on, and we have seen riders try to push on, within that last k and a half, and utilize the kicks in that gradient change. Now, we have seen that be successful. We have also seen that not be successful, with a large group of sprinters come over the top on the run into the finish line. So it's going to be really interesting today.
So that is why it's up to these riders to really make the racing. You can set that pace, do what you can to set up a race finish that suits you. If you are a climber, you want to distance everybody on that big climb, because there isn't a massive climb on the way through. There are points you can go. If you're a ruler, you want to hold on the climb, then attack on those sections. If you're a sprinter, you just want it to stay together to the end. Now, we've seen different tactics and different riders using different skills all the way around this course. Really good to see our category 4 leaders, Litton and Howeiler. They're continuing to push here, and you can tell that because there's gaps opening up between them. This is not just tapping around, they are really giving it some. They know that they're on the way into the climb, and one of the things the riders will do is ease off as they go in, isn't it, Emma? So as they go into a climb, you're going to find them just easing and just maybe just setting back for a couple of minutes just to get that heart rate down before you go in, to take on board maybe a gel or some fluids on the way through, because once you hit that climb, that's not as easy.
It's not as easy, and you can see, actually, look at Howeiler's heart rates, that information of the individual rider on the top left-hand side of your screen. Currently 129 watts, her heart rate's 141, 140 is indeed coming down. As Matt just indicated, taking a little bit of recovery, 139. She's on the run into that final climb, and you can see that on the top right-hand corner of your screen. She's on the flat section now before she runs into that climb. And whilst we've been watching her heart rate has dropped 5 beats a minute. So she's taking that little pause, she's regrouping before she has to put in that big effort. Now, one of the other things to notice, we've got the category 3 riders on the left-hand side of your screen. Now moving up and through the field, it is indeed only 5 riders left of the category 4 race field in front of our category 3 leaders. So the category 3 pack working their way through the back of the category 4 pack. They are now 2 kilometers behind the 2 leaders in this race today.
And this could change the racing, can't it? Because when the riders coming through, we've talked about draft and hiding in behind the riders. Not so important on this course, but jumping in with the riders that are coming through. If you're a category 4 rider and category 3 come through as a group, you can take a little bit of shelter, but it's not the best course to do
on some of our other courses. Definitely that is a tactic. This course, because of the constantly rolling terrain and the steepness of the kickers, it's very, very difficult to stay with a group of riders catching you from behind, because just the power that the higher category can put out on those kicker sections is just too much to stay with. Whereas if it was a flat section or a downhill section, you may be able to stay with them. The constantly changing gradient here on this course makes staying with a catching group just that bit harder.
Let's see if any of our riders can pull them off. The riders who are chasing at the very back, well, they are the leading group of Category 1 on your screen at the moment. Ursula Bardskaya in with us, a rider who can climb really, really well. She's a rider who the steeper slopes suit. You can see we've got Julie Sanchez still in this group up here. Amara Del Rocchio as well, another rider who's got a great climbing ability on our longer climbs. We'll see whether this is going to suit her as well. Daniela Marin, again, when we use the courses, say in Colombia, where we've got very long, gradual, steady state climbs, they've got lots of ascent. Another rider who's flying up there. And we talk about these riders suiting different courses, and that's to do with the climbs, the terrain. It's sometimes as well to do with the twists and turns, isn't it? Because some riders are better when they've got a good field of view in front and they can see the riders in front. So a long straightaway or a long gradual climb with very few twists and turns. Other riders don't like that, and they're actually better when it twists. That just keeps them engaged.
That head, we talked a lot about it's not just physical, it's also mental. Some riders like to continually catch. They like to see someone ahead of them and they are motivated to catch the next rider in front. Other riders like to feel that they are the ones out front and the motivation is to stay out front. And those are two very, very different headspaces. So depending upon what type of rider you are, whether you like to catch riders and work your way through a field, or whether you like to be the rider out front and staying out front and your motivation is to stay clear of the group. At the moment, well, we've not got either of those going on. We've got one very large group of over 20 riders currently in the leading group of the Category 1 race. They're coming up for 22 kilometres now complete of this 35-kilometre course. And I think we are going to start to see some action, because that second ascent of Mount Pleasant comes at 26.3 kilometres into this race. So that will be facing the Category 1 riders shortly. The Category 2 riders on the right-hand side of the screen, well, they're going to reach that a lot earlier, in literally 1.5 kilometres time. So this Category 2 pack, around 10 riders in this leading group at the moment. They're working their way through the back of the Category 4 race field. Those are the red jersey riders you can just see dropping off the screen. They're also working their way now through the back of the Category 3 race field. We've got that blue jersey rider just dropping off the back. You can see in the distance there. So our Category 2 race field working their way through the earlier starters and moving towards the second Category 4 climb on this race today.
So this is where we start to see the action really wind up. This is where we expect to see the red and yellow filling the right-hand side of our screen as the riders push. We've seen it every now and then. We saw the riders in Category 1 go over the top of a small rise, and then as they went over the top, there was that push in. But really interested to see what's going to happen here now. The Category 3 and 4 riders now at 26 kilometers, so they're going to take the turn. They're going to head in to the climb. This is where things get very, very tough indeed. You can just see that they are at the moment our Category 3 riders picking up Rhoda May Joy Miller in there. Yeah, it is. There you go. In with Angel Ann Hadlock. Hadlock, the rider who seems to be setting a lot of the pace here on the race, but it is the Category 3 riders who are just about to hit part 1 of the second ascent of Mount Pleasant. Well, will they think it's pleasant or unpleasant at the top? We're going to find out. Here we go. Now, who is going to push on here? Are we going to see an attack? Are these riders going to be content to bring them in as one as they come in and through? Very, very tough stuff. Hadlock, Mabin and Zabala on the Made Speedy squad. You've got De Silva, Pelagio, Lenore and Alze on the strong squad. You've got Dallas in as an individual rider, and you've got Golden Light in here as a team Golden Light rider. Now, of those riders, you can see that we have got Alze from the strong squad. We've got Mabin and Hadlock in there from Speedy. really interesting to see the silver in there from Strong. This, I think, is going to be a very interesting group. Zabala and Dallasay a bit further back. Dallasay moving up into Category 3 from Category 4 with the strength of her performances in Category 4. And you see Ascent goes up, look at the numbers and look at the pressure it's putting on Rona May or Joy Miller at the moment. So Rona May, in the moment, just having to keep pushing, and you can see that she is going in to the yellow zone there. She was really pushing to stay with them. She's using those riders to set the pace for her. And I tell you what, this is a brilliant ride by Rona May Joy Mayer, because she's staying with them at the moment, and this is tough stuff.
She's working hard, isn't she? She's obviously one of those riders who enjoys being motivated by other riders around her and staying with them. So she continues to push on with this Category 3 race group. 4 riders leading this Category 3 race as they push on up the climb. It's nearly 10% under their wheels at the moment. As we can see on the left-hand side of your screen, the Category 2 riders, well, they are on the heels of these Category 3 riders. They are now onto the climb for the second time, and the screen is lighting up red.
Here we go. Now's the time when they're going to have to do something decisive. This is a big group. Who wants to go clear? Does anybody want to bring 12 riders into that finish? No way do they want to do that. This is the moment. You push now. You go over the top, pushing at the top of the climb. Really put those riders in trouble. Let's see who's got the strength to do that. You can't afford to wait. Don't be the rider who hesitates and loses. Be the rider who sets the pace, who makes the running, who controls this race.
Well, this time the Category 3 rider not able to go with the chasing group. This is Liberty Dallasay. This group are now coming up onto the back of. So this Category 2 race, they are about to work their way into the top 10 shortly. In this race. So worked their way. They were the 3rd category to start today. They started 10 minutes behind Category 4, 5 minutes behind Category 3, and they are working their way through those 2 race fields now. They are looking like they are around 500 meters off of 10th place on the road today.
And this is where Dallas says she can push into this group. She'll get a little bit of assistance on the downhill, sitting in with the group. She's at the back of this group. Julia Walkenhurst winding it up on the front. Remember, down here, little left, little right, tight left, up onto 18%. Really tough stuff. That's when the turbo trainer bites on that back wheel. That's when the smart trainer makes it so hard to climb, because that is where the kick will come. And look, this group, there is some serious pressure. The riders behind snowballing straight over the top on that descent, carrying the pace in. Zimmerman now moving well here, just keeping nicely tucked in with that red bandana. And as you can see, we are working our way up and through. At the moment, though, it looks to me like Overhead going to be setting the pace on the front in that yellow helmet. You can see that we've got Ortiza and Pena in there as well.
This is so good.
Strong. Look at the power.
No, I know. We've got every team represented in this leading group, and many of the teams with 2 riders in here. So this is all going to be about the time that these riders ride, and that, let's remind ourselves, it's 3 riders from each team. So Category 2, still a large pack moving their way up this race field. Category 3 riders, those are the blue jerseys you can just see ahead of the Category 2 race field. Now, this is Mabin and Alzat 1 and 2 currently in this Category 3 race. Hadlock in 3rd place, 6 seconds back from Mabin. Now, it's the Category 2 riders who are coming up and through. Octiza leading the charge in that Category 2 race. She is one of the riders from the Tigers team. Agudelo is in 2nd place. This is just continually pushing. So Agudelo, one of the crazy fast girls, and well, those crazy fast girls in that Category 2 race continuing to push on and work their way through Category 3. Mabin and Alzat just holding on, but they are very shortly to be joined by those green jerseys. Can they stay there? Can they continue to push? But there's still a long way to go, and some very steep sections of this climb ahead of them.
There is. They've managed to get caught just at the right time, though. It's eased. It's at 8%. That's such a contradiction, but it is easy. You know, they've lost 10% of the gradient, but it's going to kick again. And we know at the very top of the slopes here it gets tough, but the longer you hold in, the closer you can pull this together. So Mavin at the moment, ensconced in with this group, you can just see just fighting to hold those wheels to stay. Nobody wants to get ejected out at this stage. And Mavin's doing a great job, I think, here of riding with these riders. We know she's got a big kick. She's got a big power. We've seen her putting down some serious sprints early on in the championship when we were in for our big long stage race earlier on in the year. Great event, and absolutely love putting words to the action and on that. And thank you. We still get messages come through, in fact, about that. It was a brilliant race, and our riders really showed their skills. So great to see riders who were really strong there, strong here. Now, left-hand side of your screen, Category 2 group heading up towards the summit here, and they're running out of time to make a decisive move. Decisive, though. Howeiler at the moment looks to have about 5 seconds, I think, on Litton here. So Tanya Howeiler and Brittany Litton, teammates, but they are at 31 kilometers nearly of the 35k course covered. They are absolutely flying down the mountain. They're at the very front of the race. At the moment, the last group of leaders on the road are the riders in our Category 1. And Emma, we expected this to have exploded by now on the early slopes. Do you think they're playing poker and just holding their cards? Or do you think they're all actually just really worried that they're not going to have what is needed at the top of that, stifling almost the attacks?
I think we're going to see the push come on the second part of this climb today. This first part, it's about getting up and over it and not getting dropped off the back of the group. The downhill section and then the kick, let's not forget that second part of the climb tops at close to 18% gradient. As we watch on the right hand side of your screen, Category 2, they are over the other side of this climb, and it's Angie Para leading them down.
Well, Para, we know who can push really strongly, and I think she's wanting to just make life tough for anybody who wasn't on the ball as they came over the top. If you hesitate and don't get on, you can be left with a really long chase down this hillside here. The speeds are incredibly quick. We're talking the 68, 70 kph sometimes on this descent. Angie Para has been absolutely motoring down here. So that is a very fast descent. And if you're not in with the group, you can see it splitting and reforming.
You can do.
This is because of the aggressive racing. Now, Category 1 into or what should be the finale of the climbers race.
Look at that, the red numbers have turned up now in this Category 1 race. Manshandi, Quevedo, Olsen, Santiago, Acevedo, Agudelo, Olsen, all in here and all pushing on now.
Here we go. This is where they've got to make it count. Who can stay with our climbers? We're seeing riders being distanced out the back of the group here. We're seeing 1 or 2 riders not staying with the pace. You can see those yellow jerseys drifting off where riders have pushed for as long as they can, but then they are in trouble, and it is Morgan Olsen who is leading them up here, and she's pushing them in the red zone. She's making them really earn their money today because she is kicking hard here. Look at this, 176 beats per minute. She's at 70 revs or so. So she is going to be stamping on those pedals.
I'll tell you, she's been on form this month. She's had 1 first, 1 second, and 1 fifth in the qualifying round. So we know Olsen is on form. Quevedo has had 2 seconds and a third. She's also a very strong rider, and she's one of the ones pushing on at the moment. So Manshandi, Fua, Quevedo, Olsen, Marin Tejeros is up here. So is Acevedo and Santiago. This is a strong leading group, and they are losing 1s and 2s off the back at the moment. It started as 21 riders. It's not going to be 21 riders at the top of this climb. It's going to be interesting to see how many are left.
I think we could go right down here, and it wouldn't surprise me to see 1 or 2 of these strong riders really see if they can pry clear a group of 3 or 4 riders, because if they can go, they've got to go early enough. If you go in the last 200 meters or 50 meters, you're not going to get a big enough gap. You're going to get caught. But go with maybe a half a K of the climb left to the summit. You could put a gap in that is going to be decisive, that is going to make all of the difference. At the moment, though, Nobody has got that gap. They are, as Emma said, just drifting riders off the back. That's in Category 1. Category 2, big group of riders there, currently at 31k. Category 3, you got Mabin, our solo leader at the moment, really trying to maximize the advantage she gained on that climb. She's at 31k or fast approaching it here, not all that far behind, leading the race out completely at the moment. Lytton and Holweiler in Category 4 have come back together again. They have just under 2 kilometers to the finish. They've literally just gone through past the pens where they started off some 1 hour and 8 minutes ago, and they are now on their way into the final few K, the final few thousand meters, which will see who is going to take away top spot.
Well, it's a really interesting race unfolding in front of us. Holweller and Lytton, the two riders out front, and then it's the chasing group from the Category 2 race. The Category 1 race, well, they've had a steady start today, and you can tell that because they are so far behind that Category 2 race field. A much faster race there, but take a look at this. Morgane Olsen, Daniela Marin, Maria Santiago, Catherine Fu are all pushing on the front here, and as they go over the top of the climb, the group is stretched behind. This is now a very, very key moment, because if these riders can come back together again and form a group, there's a gap back you can see to the 3-4 chasing riders behind. They need to keep this gap. They do not want those riders to come back together again. So important to push on the descent.
So as you go over the climb, making the gains stick, making the move, keeping the pace high. Fua, Olsen, Marin, right up at the front of this group. They are working hard, and it was Morgane Olsen who set the pace on that climb for the majority of the climb that we saw, and she's looking incredibly strong. As Emma said, a proven top 5 rider in the racing on the way through. She's up against some strong riders in here. Have all of the big favourites made it? Cavado is in there. She's got to be one of those riders that you're looking at if it comes to that sprint finish. Fua, incredibly strong. Great to see Catherine Fua coming back to her best once again. This is your leading group now. We're going to try and get a view of the volume of riders left in this group. As Emma said, we started off with 22 in this group, climbing strongly round on lap 1. It's not 22, but it's still a relatively big group here as the Category 1 leaders come down the descent. And if they push now in that big group, they are going to leave riders, and the big danger here is somebody's trying to recover and they can't stay in.
Well, 9 riders confirmed in this leading group at the moment, and it's not much further back until we've got another rider chasing on. It's going to be interesting to see whether they can join that and make that lead group 10. But on the right-hand side of your screen, it's Holweller leading the charge into the finish line. Lytton's kicking now. Holweller is responding. Lytton and Holweller, they're teammates, but they want the win, and it's going to be interesting to see. They've got 350 meters to go as we see Lytton and Holweller push on. Holweller kicks at 8 watts per kilo. Lytton's coming up for 7. Holweller's looking like she's going to push on and take this, but she's still got a long run to that finish line. Can she hold this? She's 2 seconds up on teammate Lytton. I think she's going to do it, but that is still the gantry she can see in front. It's still a long way ahead. 3 seconds, 4 seconds. She's continuing to push. She continues to push as Lytton is in 2. So Holweller's looking like she's coming in for the final. She's going to take this. Holweller is going to take the win today in Category 4. This is the July final on the Sunday Race Club, and Tanya Holweller takes the win in Category 4. Brittany Lytton in 2.
So you could just see Lytton there, broken on the climb into the finish. She was piling on the pressure, trying to stay with Holweiler at 5 watts per kilo, and it suddenly spiraled down to 3 because she was broken by the power of Tanya Holweiler, her teammate. So there's going to be elation as well as a dejection for Lytton, but they are currently in a strong position to take away the team prize as well as the individual cut prizes in that category. Let's see who is going to be joining them at the front of the race, at the top of their respective standings. So Category 4 are in. Category 2, right-hand side of your screen, they are currently the leaders. but we have chasers in Category 2 jumping in with Category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen, and the distance between the riders at the moment, well, it's substantial.
Yeah.
It's still well over 2 kilometers at the moment, and I don't think when we come around that spiral, we're going to see the Category 2 riders staying in. It's just too far to go for them to catch up compared to the distance to the finishing line. So here we go. This is the run in. This is Category 2 leaders on the way through. We saw them push over the top of the climb. We saw them break clear. They've got the gap. This is the run. Quintero, Pena, Avahek. We've got Agudelo in here. We've got Parrot in here. Walkenhurst is at 20 seconds with Octiza, but they, I think, now are too late in their run to the line. No matter how hard they push, they're not going to match these riders as these riders kick in round the right-hand turn. The gradient starts to kick. Now it's going to accelerate up. You've seen the riders come up here. They've had plenty of runs at this today, as well as riding on MyWhoosh. Who's going to be able to take this? This is the kick now. It's Pena who's going to go for this. She's gone early. 12.5 watts per kilo kick coming out from her. Now Para's responded with the same. Para is leading the charge behind. Can she come back in again? It's going to be Pena who's got the lead. Will she keep it? Para's coming. We know Para's got some great power. She's got the time trial ability. Can she kick again? Over the top she goes. Now it's Angie Para, traditionally the rider from the front of the start. Can she be the rider at the front of the end? She's going to do it. It's Para. Oh, she holds by fractions of a second from Pena. What a sprint finish here.
Yeah, it was indeed, wasn't it? So Angie Parrott taking that from Pilar Pena in that Category 2 race. Agudelo, Arrayas, Erefek and Quintero rounding out the top 5. 2 of those riders from the Crazy Fast Girls, but it's all going to be about the third counter.
It is indeed. Now, left-hand side Category 1, we're going to put those aside for the moment because we've got to say what a ride here by Emily Mabin. We had her pegged down as going for the sprint potentially because we know she's such a strong rider and she can kick, but she's got the gap back to Angel and Hadlock. She's got the distance. She has got the ability. She's 10 seconds clear, and I think this means that Emily Mabin is going to be able to enjoy the run to that finishing gantry, that green jersey in front of the Category 2 rider, showing that she has got the pace to almost stay with them on the way through, and that is a big result for Mabin. Emily Mabin comes through, the winner on the MyWhoosh finals for July in Category 3. Behind it, it's going to be Angel and Hadlock, who's fast approaching that gantry. Wow, another great race. Very different result, not having to sprint there. But I tell you something, I'm not sure anybody's going to break clear from Category 1. You can see the distance is reducing. We're going to be on 1,400 meters to go.
Well, 9 riders in this leading group in Category 1. They've got just under a K&a-half to go, but the chasing group behind is in view. The chasing group now in sight of the leaders in this Category 1 race. Are we going to see this group swell from 9 to what looks like it will go to around 15, 16 riders? The push is coming on the front now from Olsen, Fua, Quevedo. They do not want this group behind to catch because they are now coming up for 1 kilometre to go. 1 kilometre in this Category 1 race to go.
So that move, the squeeze behind, has forced a reaction in the leading group of riders. So behind that group, behind coming in, chasing, that contains riders who could well be in and take the sprint from these riders if they let them. It is yo-yoing backwards and forwards and having to force a move down. They're having a push. They want a top 5. They want that prize money. They want the team prize money. They can't afford the group behind to come. The group behind know this is the moment. They are getting closer, and they are strung out much more behind. They cannot take this to the line. They can't wait. They've got to go, and they've got to go now.
Well, the kick is coming from behind. There's 500 metres to go as Group 2 start to come through onto the back of Group 1. The 9 riders in front now see the rise ahead of them. The tarmac is going upwards as Olsen starts to kick. But Sanchez has joined from the group behind, and we know what a finish Sanchez has got. So Olsen kicking. Sanchez comes up and through the entire group from that chase pack. Daniela Marin is there as well. In fact, Marin now kicking 13 watts per kilo. Carvajal in there too. So is Olsen. As Marin kicks, Marin goes hard. She's gone at 12 watts per kilo. Marin is going to take this. I think the kick is coming from behind as Fua goes at 13. Olsen's at 13 too, but Marin is going to take this. Daniela Marin takes that from Morgane Olsen. Agudelo Castano, Fua in 4th, Acevedo in 5, Carvajal in 6, Sanchez in 7, Quevedo in 8, Agudelo Arreyes, Santiago Del Rojo, and Tejeros all there together.
Well, they almost made it. They almost pulled back that leading group. And when Marin kicked hard, she was almost caught on the line by Olsen and the rest of that group. You can see your Category 1 riders and how close that was. The riders coming in, the top 8 riders coming in 5 seconds clear of the chasers behind. That's how close it came. They played, they gambled, they held, and then they kicked. And you got to say, Daniela Marin, a rider who can climb, boy, she's got that timing right as well.
Well, she did indeed. And the individual classification there in front of you, but the team classification is up in front of me at the moment.
Oh, go on,
and
quick.
Let me tell you, it's looking like the Spartan Obstacles from the Latinas, from the Eagles, from Fizzy Pops, but 50 seconds separating those top 4 teams. We said there was strength and depth today. We said that team competition was going to be hard, and boy, did that play out.
Well, you can catch up with the full results on www.mywhoosh.com/results. It's been an amazing July on MyWhoosh in our women's races, and we're going to kick it all off again next week. My name's Matt Payne. I'm here in the studios with Emma Martin. We're going to be bringing you the action from qualifier race number 1 next week. Don't forget, of course, you can join me in between at the World Championship Downhill Championships from Fort William up in Scotland. And before that, we've got a more important race as far as I'm concerned today, because we have our men's final. So please do join us on there. Get in touch with Emma at Biking. Emma, get in touch with me at Matt Fixer Payne. But from all of the MyWhoosh team who make this happen behind the scenes, from Emma, from myself, and from everybody involved, thank you so much for watching. Please do make sure you watch the next one, and of course jump on board. We'd love to go for a spin and a ride around MyWhoosh with you. So from us here, it's been great. Stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.